to the first ever Eden Stays at Home talk. Today we're talking about contact tracing app with Matthias. How are you, Matthias?
Hi, I'm good, Apolline, and you?
I'm good as well. So, Matthias, do you want to introduce yourself maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me here. Great pleasure. My name is Matthias Hudobnik. I'm an Austrian jurist and engineer. I call myself legal engineer since I'm bilingual in both technology as a graduate of the College of Electronics, specializing in technical computer science, and law as a graduate of the University of Graz, specializing in cyber law and privacy. I gained professional international experience in IT, internet engineering, cyber law, and privacy, as well as I completed several training courses in these areas. Since November 2019, I also have the great pleasure to serve as an ICANN at-large advisory committee member of the European Regional at-large organization.
Okay, that's an impressive resume. So tell us a bit, what does a legal engineer do during quarantine?
Despite the fact that I have now a new corona haircut and that I was doing a lot of sports every day as my daily usual routine, I sometimes enjoyed some good Austrian beer in the evenings, which I can highly recommend you, by the way. Furthermore, I participated in various talks, webinars, and conferences like ICANN and RIPE meetings. But more importantly, I was attentively following the European discussion around tracing apps and data protection, with a particular focus on the situation here in Austria. And so I decided to write a short paper about it.
Good. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about this paper, and that's right into our topic of contact tracing app.
Of course. Austria was the first member state in the European Union which released a national contact tracing app already on the 25th of March, the so-called Stopp Corona app. I will show you the logo.
Yeah, a bit closer. Yeah, perfect. Nice.
Perfect.
That's neat.
The aim of the Stopp Corona app is the rapid interruption of infection chains in the course of COVID-19. So the app is designed to automatically and anonymously record the intensive contacts of users through the digital handshake, meaning that in case one of the intensive contacts shows signs of a COVID-19 infection, will be warned by the app.
Okay. Which user functionalities does this app offer?
In short, the user functionalities of the application are contact services, informing about the COVID-19 virus, including the assessment of symptoms. Secondly, with a contact diary, a documentation of contact persons, including functionalities like a prompt notification, a notification of potential infected users, with an all clear notification, and the cancellation of sick message. And lastly, you can also share the Stopp Corona app. Now I will give you a brief technical introduction of the functionalities. At the first releases, the technical functionalities of the Stopp Corona app differentiated between the Android devices on one hand and the iOS devices on the other hand. The Android devices, the automatically digital handshake function is enabled by default, but can be disabled by the Stopp Corona app user within the app itself. The technical interface is built with WebPass P2P kit, which enables a discovery function to particularly determine spatial distances between possible handshake persons, and offers also a messaging function to inform the contact persons.
Okay.
The discovery function utilizes Wi-Fi Direct and Bluetooth Low Energy, and the Bluetooth function compares the received signal strength of the devices, but does not pair with other devices.
Okay.
And the messaging function is designed to exchange pseudonymous tokens of the devices using the infrastructure of WEPA through the Amazon Web Services.
Mm-hmm.
No IP addresses of the users are saved or transferred to third parties,
Okay.
which is very important to mention. And the new release 3 weeks ago includes the implementation of the well-known Google Apple API.
Mm-hmm.
The automatically digital handshake works in addition to the Android devices, also on Apple's iOS operating system now.
Okay.
And the app can be downloaded on smartphones from other countries as well.
Okay. So which personal data exactly is stored by the app?
It's a very good question. The following personal data is processed in pseudonymous. We have the timestamp. We have the Apple ID as the unique identification of the service P2P kit. We have the user ID as the unique pseudonym of the user, exclusively used in the context of the handshake. We have the operating system and operating system version of the device. We have the device model, and we have the P2P kit version.
Okay. And according to you, what makes this app so special?
Yeah, Austria is one of the first countries in Europe having a fully functional app that complies with the requirements of privacy preserving contact tracing. The app is designed to collect as little data as possible. The Austrian Red Cross cannot fundamentally identify you unless you report an infection. Only then the Red Cross will record your mobile phone number for 30 days, so that they are not, so that there is no misuse possible. It's a prevention.
Okay.
Otherwise, only random IDs are exchanged, but they are not linked to your mobile phone number, which is very important to mention. So the Red Cross has no way of identifying you or tracking you or checking your movements of your social contacts. In common usage, this is called anonymous processing, but legally correct, the data is extremely high pseudonymized.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, I guess for this kind of app to work, one major thing is that people must download it. In France, for example, where I come from, I think mid-June, about only 2% of the population had downloaded the app. So can you maybe tell us a bit more about public interest in Austria?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In Austria, firstly, the debate about the possible mandatory use of the app by the government, as well as the incorrect talk about tracking, triggered skepticism amongst possible users in Austria. And the moderate response in Austria was not only due to the concerns about their own personal data. So far, the app also had one major disadvantage. Users of an iPhone, like me, had to save all contacts manually before the last release. So that was also a reason for the less usage.
Yeah, okay, I see. And yeah, I guess that's the risk you run when you risk in democracies, that it's not mandatory. One other thing I wanted to talk about is that we can notice that countries which were the most efficient fighting against coronavirus at the peak of the crisis did not have this tracing app back then. So I'm thinking about Germany, for example, but rather they had good healthcare. So for example, I think France and Germany had similar amount of cases, but because Germany had way more beds available in hospital, they were way more efficient in fighting the crisis. Yeah. So Didier Bigot wrote about this in an article published on About Intel not so long ago, where he criticizes contact tracing apps, and he talks about technological solutionism. So the belief that technology will solve all issues. What do you think about this?
I will start from the other way around, if you allow me.
Of course.
In fact, potential pathways of a COVID-19 infection are, firstly, direct contact like a handshake with an infected person. Secondly, direct droplet emissions by an infected person. This requires a distance of less than 2 meters, and the infected person has no mouth protection, of course. And thirdly, touching contaminated areas within about 72 hours. Neither the first nor the third can do the app, nor does it claim to do so, honestly. The app cannot determine whether someone's hands has been shaken or whether a contaminated area has been touched. It is designed to automatically record intensive contacts, meaning contacts between Stopp Corona app users who stay together longer than 15 minutes within a physical distance of fewer than 2 meters from each other. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, an ideal condition, mostly not applicable to reality. Just to give you one example, imagine, Apolline, you and me, we are in the subway, and the use of the app with the automatical digital handshake in a subway full of people, or in a building with a lot of people, which is not an unusual situation. So taking this example, the used Bluetooth radio wave can penetrate thin walls, for example, and therefore record contacts with people who are not in the same room or subway wagon at all, just to name one issue. So what I want to say is that the app can be, in my opinion, an additional measure and might help to interrupt infection chains, but the necessity of the app can be challenged.
Of course.
And depends on your personal approach and how critical you are evaluating the effectiveness and under which circumstances, obviously. So in my opinion, it's a good additional measure, but just an additional measure.
Yeah, of course. One last point I wanted to talk about is the securitization of COVID-19 and the question, are tracing apps here to stay? So basically, we live in exceptional times, which call for exceptional measures that governments have been really quick to undertake. And they've been calling contact tracing apps temporary measures. But we've seen in previous crises that those temporary measures sometimes last in time. So what do you think about this? Do you think that contact tracing apps are here to stay? Do you think this is an open door maybe to government collecting more and more health data, perhaps?
Apolline, I will apply my answer to your question just related to the Stopp Corona app, because I could say a lot, honestly. Otherwise, we are running out of time, if it's okay for you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, nice. So the intention of the app is to enable contact tracing, but to limit intrusions to privacy and access to personal data to a minimum extent possible. The app is considered as a solution of privacy by design. And in terms of data security, it now seems clear that theoretically possible monitoring of users would only be possible with enormous technical effort due to the strong pseudonymization/anonymization. So, however, an active Bluetooth connection represents at least one possible point of attack, although this risk is also extremely small. And in times of Bluetooth headphones, this question does not only arise for an application like the Stopp Corona app. So, Apolline, since you're seeing the Stopp Corona quite critical, next time when you're coming to Austria and you're using Tinder, keep in mind that it's much more privacy intrusive than the Stopp Corona app.
Oh, I'll use the Stopp Corona app instead then. But if you are concerned about Tinder collecting your data, you should come and discuss it at our next event with Eden, actually. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, of course. So, my dear listener, listeners, we expect you to join the 5th Eden event on our virtual venue on the 15th of October 2020. I'm very much looking forward to have a nice chill chat about data protection and privacy on our virtual space while having a real cold drink.
So thank you everyone for watching, and we will see each other very soon for a new Eden Talk. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.